Before servicing this mower, always disengage or remove the batteries. The lap bar control assembly is located under the left and right side covers. Both of these covers must be removed along with the rear wheels, the seat assembly, and the rear guard assembly. With parking chocks on the front wheels, lift the back end of the mower and place jack stands under the chassis just in front of the rear cover. Remove the rear wheels, which are secured with 21mm lug nuts. The next step is to remove the seat assembly. Use a 6mm hex wrench to remove the two screws on the front side of the seat. Then move the seat forward to expose two hex screws that secure the steel rails to the suspension. Remove these screws, then lift the seat assembly and unplug the connector from the seat switch before removing the seat. Using a 13mm socket, remove the 4 hex bolts that secure the seat suspension base to the mower frame. Then remove the 4 T20 Torx screws that secure the decorative cover on the front of the seat. Release the seat wire harness from the hook. The seat suspension can now be removed. The decorative cover on the back of the seat is also secured with 4 T20 Torx screws. Using a 13mm socket wrench, remove the left and right steering levers from the mower. Next, remove the cover on the deck height adjustment handle. It is secured with 2 Phillips head screws and a 13mm nut. On the right side of the mower, unplug the Type-C plug and the black plug adjacent to it. These wires link the right side cover to the left side cover. Then lift the wires away from the 4 wire traps on top of the battery management system. On the left side of the mower, unplug the black, yellow, and Type-C plugs. Remove the 4 T30 Torx screws on top of the left cover assembly. The one next to the lever is concealed by a label. There are also 2 screws beneath the fender. The rear guard assembly must be removed before the left side cover can be removed. Use a T30 bit to remove the 6 screws, 2 on each side and 2 on the back. To remove the hitch, use a 13mm socket to remove the 2 hex bolts that secure the hitch to the frame. Slide the rear guard away from the battery box and disconnect the left cover cable connector. The rear guard assembly can now be removed, along with the left side cover. With the battery box cover lifted, the left side cover should lift up easily. Removal of the right cover assembly is similar to the left cover assembly, with 4 screws on top and 2 beneath the fender. The steering lever bases on both sides of the mower have flexible hose wires going to the control box assembly, connected with a Type-C plug. Use your finger or a screwdriver to reach inside from the front and press on the tab that secures the plug. This releases a connector cover, which should be saved and reused along with a rubber cover on the end of the plug. Remove the depth stop plate from the right steering lever base. It's secured with 3 T30 Torx screws. Before removing the last screw, hold the bar so the deck doesn't drop suddenly. Next, remove the 2 bolts on the crossbar using a 13mm socket wrench. You can now remove the 8 13mm bolts connecting the lap bar control assembly to the mower deck. Each assembly has 2 bolts on top and 2 on the side. Using a 10mm socket wrench, remove the bolts on each side that connect the dampeners on the lap bar control assembly. Then remove the cover plate that is secured to the base with 2 bolts. The lap bar control assembly can now be removed from the mower. If either of the PCBAs in the assembly are damaged, replace them before proceeding. Move the lap bar to the open position, away from the PCBA, and remove the 2 Phillips head screws securing the PCBA. Remove the PCBA and mount a new one into the steering lever base. Note, After a PCBA is replaced, the lap bar control assembly must be calibrated following the riding mower calibration procedure. Refer to separate instructions for details. When mounting the lap bar control assembly onto the frame, be sure to follow the recommended torque shown here. This same torque is also recommended for the bolts that secure the crossbar to the mower frame. Then attach the cover plate, secured to the deck with 2 bolts and 2 Phillips head screws. After attaching the baffle, connect the dampener with a 10 mm bolt on each side. Then mount the depth stop plate, secured with 3 T30 Torx screws. Next, hook the flexible hose wires into place, passing them through the hole inside the steering lever base. Insert the Type-C plugs into the slot in the base and apply dielectric waterproof grease as shown before connecting the plugs. Be sure to reuse the rubber covers that were set aside during disassembly. Now mount the left and right cover assemblies onto the mower. Each is held in place with 2 T20 Torx screws beneath the cover and 4 on top. Connect the wire harness to the left cover assembly by connecting the yellow and black plugs and the Type-C plug, aligning them into the slots as seen here. Be sure to apply dielectric waterproof grease to the Type-C plug. The 2 wires that link the left and right cover assemblies should also be aligned in the slots, as seen here. Also, make sure that the charging fuse from the left cover assembly is inserted into the slots beside the yellow plug. Mount the rear decorative cover and tighten the 4 corresponding screws. Use a 10 mm socket wrench to mount the left and right steering levers onto the mower, being sure to follow the recommended torque. Use the same wrench to install the nut on the deck height adjustment handle, then install the cover. Mount the seat suspension base and attach the front seat decorative cover onto the mower. Note: the seat wire harness should be routed upwards and around the left side of the seat's suspension rod. This facilitates the plug connection to the sensor switch at the bottom of the seat assembly. To replace the seat, place it against the front of the suspension base and align the holes. Use a 6 mm hex wrench to affix the seat rails to the base. Once the seat is secured, move it forward to expose the 2 backside mounting holes in the steel rails of the seat assembly. Secure the rails with the 2 remaining hex screws. Then move the seat all the way back and hook the wire harness onto the seat suspension base. Now install the rear wheels, ensuring that the valve stem faces outside. Follow the recommended torque for the nuts on each wheel, then replace the hubcaps. Complete the reassembly by plugging in the rear guard left cover cable connector. Mount the rear guard assembly onto the mower, and then mount the hitch. Please refer to the EGO service diagram and parts list for specific parts needed for this repair. Always use genuine EGO parts.